Hazel?
Parents need to know what they're signing up the children for.
Mommy, Daddy, I just wanted to ask. God, is that you?
You want to do what?
Good morning and welcome to Talking Point here on WESN, your content capsule, your home of Caribbean content. Monday the 29th of August 2022, as we are days away from celebrating our 60th independence anniversary and just months away from the end of 2022 as time is flying by fast. But good morning and welcome to the program. I am Keaton Shaw. Alongside me this morning, unfortunately, Mr. Sean Michael Small is not with us as yet. He is still recuperating, but he's very eager to join us soon. In the meantime, filling in his position, we're very privileged to have with us the Managing Director of WESN Content Capital, Mr. Darren Lee Singh. Good morning, Sue.
Good morning, Keaton. Good morning, world. And the honor is mine, actually. Keaton, it is a very hot seat I sit in, and I could never fill Sean's shoes, nor your shoes. But I welcome the opportunity to converse on matters of state, matters of Trinidad and Tobago, matters that engulf all that we are. And I always welcome sitting with you guys.
Well, Darren, I think this is the second or third time that we're happy to know that you're always willing to join us on Talking Points. And the hot seat it is, because as my assistant co-host this morning, we're not putting any pressure on him, but Mr. Lee Singh has a couple of things that he wanted to speak about this morning in the first 20 minutes of the segment. And I agree with him, actually. First of all, as you know, 2 weeks ago, at the Caribbean Broadcasters Union Awards 2021 held in Tobago, WESN was nominated for 3 awards, and we actually won the award for Best Comedy for We Comedy Jam. And Darren, WESN in the last 2 years, we've certainly grown a lot. Our quality, I mean, people might think, Keaton, you're being biased because you sit in that position, but if you ever do a comparison of the quality of programming and across Trinidad and Tobago, certainly we have some very talented young individuals, and that fusion with the more experienced generations guiding us, well, certainly is creating a formula for success.
It definitely is, and I think the Rider Caribbean ought to watch out, because next year I think we're coming to dominate the awards and take all the awards. The reality is, as you said, time is flying, and this pandemic, remember we were born in the pandemic, and this September makes it 2 years that we are here with you, celebrating with you, conversing with you. And that's a big feat. There were many who didn't believe we could do it. And so we are happy to say we're still standing strong, representing you, the public.
Certainly. But, you know, continuing that discussion, Darren, yes, we're very much strong. But WESN, born out of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we're still here with you, and we're going to be here with you for quite some time, I can assure you. This is the thing, with the state of media across the Caribbean, some may argue that it has declined, but also you see projects like WESN, you see unions like the Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean Broadcasters Union. Each state has their own particular association union. Is that forging of all these associations and that union coming together? This is what is a critical time for media, and this is how we're going to grow out of this.
Well, Keaton, you took it ahead. You know the founders of MAT, the Media Association on Trinidad and Tobago. One of them happens to be Andy Johnson, who is anchoring our mornings. People like him and Dale Enoch and Sterling Henderson, and now Sheila Rampasad, you name the list of strong journalists, and now Ira Matthew are holding down that. And MAT differentiates itself from the TTBBA, which is another acronym. And I was once the president. I held down that post for maybe 5 years, 5+ years. And last week, TTBBA had its AGM, and we have a new president. So we must congratulate Douglas Wilson for ascending to the chair. Many think it's an easy feat, but it is a hard assignment when the TTBBA represents the umbrella organization of the broader media, and they represent the managers and owners' interests. So you're looking at technical issues like the management of Cumberland Hill, to digital divide, digital transition. All those big ticket issues are discussed at the TTBBA level. At the MAT level, though, they deal with, at the core, who we are, what we do, standards. And separate and apart from that, I'm hopeful that Douglas and his team come together with ERA and they bring back the Media Complaints Council. That sat way too dormant in this marketplace. And that is an independent voice that keeps us in check for self-regulation. It's an important element of who we are. But at the same time, I must say congratulations to Douglas and his executive team. It looks like a strong team. Douglas is ably supported by his One Caribbean Media Group, and I hope we see some life in it. I want to thank Grant Taylor of the Newsday group. He sat down in the role for the last few years, and so it is a passing of the guard. But in that same breath, Keaton, much like we do, I want to echo a sound of request to all the media houses to start letting the young blood come and represent, not only in MAT, but in TTBBA also. We can't keep cycling the same names over and over again. We must find a way to get them to come up, stand up, and become that lobbying agent.
Certainly, well, Darren, that sentiment that you just expressed, that desire, that wish is all too familiar in the context not only of the TTPBA, the Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago, but generally a lot as it deals with the development of Trinidad and Tobago, which is actually a perfect way to segue into our next part of the introduction of Talking Point this morning, where Mr. Lee Singh, he is the chairman, I think, of the Port of Spain
District Scout Council.
Yes, and you know, we were having a conversation yesterday online, and then you know, we were speaking about independence on Wednesday.
Correct.
And it goes into, you know, young blood, independence, but patriotism on a whole. If you ever did a pyramid, with that young blood and that desire for them to have more influence, more of an input, is that in itself promoting patriotism?
It is. The reason I have volunteered in that very pivotal and instrumental role of harnessing the next generation of young boys and girls, because scouting is no longer about boys alone, it's boys and girls, and it manifests not only in scouting, but Girl Guides and Brownies and all the other interest groups that come together and help turn young boys and girls into better men and women for us as citizens of our country. That's a very important element. And so those who are fortunate enough to say, instead of playing on the side of the road, they are coming to learn knots, they're coming to learn values, they're coming to learn systems, then kudos to them. And you know, Sean and Keaton, I have always said to both of you, Sean is listening and watching hopefully at home, I've always said that whenever I join you all, I am coming to talk about good news. I'm never going to come and talk about what is happening, the things that are happening around the world, Pakistan, what is happening in our country. I'm coming to talk solutions. And in that same breath, CIC, St. Mary's College, they celebrated this weekend 100 years of scouting. Oh, wow. Even older than the independence of our country is an institution of scouting. Now QRC beat them. QRC was a few years back. But it still tells you, how can an institution be 100 years old and still relevant and still revving? And so we must congratulate them. And I've appealed to those in power at the CIC Scout Troop to come and let's really talk to them and the Venture Scouts. I don't want to talk to the Scouts much because they're not as mature and ready to have these kind of conversations about how Scouts has transitioned them and made them better.
Now, as much as you've said congratulations to an institution that is over 100 years old, and you mentioned QRC as well, something such as scouting, which in a way promotes independence through knowledge, through skills, but it also promotes a sense of patriotism. These groups, it goes beyond scouting, but as we're using the example of scouting, are these groups no longer receiving the support that we would have seen before? Is it that the interest surrounding groups such as scouting is dying in TNT?
It's probably both. I think Port of Spain is perhaps the hardest example, and the National Scout Commissioner, Mark Ainsley-John, and I have had many conversations on it, because when I was in Scouts, my parents would leave us back and wait back for us to finish the Scouts and finish all your extracurriculars, and then between the other parents and my parents, they shuffle all the kids home. Contemporaneously, we've seen that nobody wants to stick around for extracurricular activities. Parents are more worried with beating the traffic home and being able to survive. And you've seen that paradigm shift. And you're asking yourself, how can we master ourselves around it? Luckily, the Scout movement during COVID, the pandemic, was able to pivot into a digital realm. And that truly saw the numbers go back up, surprisingly. And so we're happy to see that. We're happy to see that in all these institutions and schools alike, you're seeing them asking to build back troops. But you need the volunteers. You can have the kids, but what about the adult volunteers who want to serve as a killer, as troop leaders, as guidance models for these kids? In many of these schools, it's been teachers giving up their time, but like Maria Regina and all these other Port of Spain schools, when the teacher themselves matriculates from the system, it leaves a void. Mm-hmm. And so my appeal this morning is to get volunteerisms, get volunteers to come back out and help. They are stronger troops. They're troops that, with my eyes closed, I watch Fatima under Chin Lee. Those troops, you don't have to worry about them. But then there are the East Port of Spain schools. And even in our strategic plan, Port of Spain and the outer regions are now going to expand. So you'll soon see Diego Martin and areas of Lady Young and etc. coming back into a bigger grouping. And if that happens, that is when you really have to see the muscle and might of people coming out to assist.
Certainly. Darren, a lot of what you just mentioned, it's a mixture to me, just analyzing everything that you would have mentioned. We start off with where it seems as though there is opportunity, but that opportunity is not taken. In fact, to a certain extent, it's stifled. That opportunity to develop that young blood and those young minds through simple things such as scouting. And I use the term simple, not lightly, but it doesn't always have to be, you know, a bigger groups, bigger interest groups or bigger youth clubs or even police youth clubs. It goes back to, you know, the basics. You mentioned that, and then at the same time, you also mentioned a call for volunteerism. Is in itself, whilst we may see that stifling of that young blood or the potential development of that young blood, is there a desire that, because you're chairman, that you will see more people now, as we're celebrating 100 years, patriotism, wanting to volunteer, wanting to play their part? Or is it that people are of the opinion that they can't do anything, they can't be of any help, they can't give?
You again ask two parallel questions that correlate with each other. The reality is, I don't know that many people have the time, especially persons who have families and they're dealing with work, school dynamics, etc. It is a hard assignment, it is a hard thrust. And even the whole notion that these groups are really youth-centric. So you've seen more of the retirees have more interest in still being around because they have the time. But the reality is, Keaton, we have to figure it out and we have to do it together. And you have all those old scouts and old Girl Guides who are out there, who can still give up their time, the younger ones. And so the call to action must be for them to come and serve. I mean, if you look in the dynamics of my household, my wife is super busy. Sometimes I can't even get her on the phone during the course of the day. And she still finds time to volunteer with the Girl Guides and the Brownies, because that's what our girls are into right now. And I, on the other hand, have still given back to my alma mater, QRC. I'm involved with the old boys. And I'm also involved with the Scout movement. And I have no horse in the race with the old boys, for example. None of my girls theoretically will ever attend Queen's Royal College. But I feel it's a sense of duty for those generations to come to ensure that it is a safe space, to ensure it is a place that they can thrive in. I always recall in Form 1 at QRC, there were young men there who could not buy books for themselves. Mm-hmm. And I remember going home to my parents and telling them that, and they in turn said, tell us who they are and we'll help them. I don't know that that is that kind of patriotic action happening in all households, but it ought to be, because we ought to be our brother and sisters' keepers. And today some of those young men are brilliant contributors to society in Trinidad. I have seen the correlation that those who were involved in Scouts are more actively involved in society. Mm-hmm. And maybe that is all in the actualization of the process. You're also in these groups, I think we all are, we're all in these groups where you have all your classmates in it, and it's just really a chat of pecan and not progress. And many times I've wondered if I should mute them. I've wondered if I should delete myself, but it's my way of keeping connected. And that all comes right back to independence and celebrating who we are. I mean, Notting Hill Carnival was just completed, and the pictures and the flags of the proud Trimbagonians flying the Trinidad and Tobago flag in that carnival. I think Rondell went to it, yes. Strictly Legal. Yeah. I'm waiting to see the pictures from him. But it tells you that wherever we are, we represent. That's identity. That's who we are. And that's something that we have to put in a jar and export.
Certainly. I agree with you 100%, Darren. So as much as at times it's quite a bit of work, a little goes a long way. And as we celebrate 60 years as an independent nation, well, we're seeing what we can do and how we can play our role in developing the younger blood, future generations, as they may lead us to our 70th, or they will actually lead us to our 70th year as we celebrate independence. But folks, for now, let's take a break here on the program. When we return, well, the conversation continues. Stay tuned.
Hazel?
Parents need to know what they're signing up the children for.
Mommy, Daddy, I just wanted to ask. God, is that you?
You want to do what?
Enjoy your independence. The Retail Warehouse Christmas Village is open. This independence, get a massive 50% off selected items while stocks last.
You can become a highly trained emergency response professional that can operate in the health, corporate, industrial, and educational sectors. Tech EMS courses include EMT, AEMT, paramedic, BLS, ACLS, PALS, first aid, CPR, AED, and other courses.
Happy Independence from Tech EMS Training Academy. Happy Independence from Motor Care and Maintenance MCM Limited for all your vehicle repairs, diesel and gas. Approved Vehicle Inspection Station.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
When you need land, a home, or investment property, step-by-step property consultancy and management can help you. Happy Independence. Independence greetings from J&A Supermarket and Deli on the Avenue for your grocery items, market items, grab-and-go meals, plus mobile phones and accessories.
Welcome back to Talking Point here on WESN, the content capital. Mr. Darren Leasing joins me this morning as my sitting co-host, but also joining us now via Zoom, no stranger to Talking Point. We welcome to the program the Public Relations Officer of the Opposition United National Congress, Dr. Kirk Mayhew. Good morning, Dr. Mayhew.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
We're doing well, sir. How are you? Considering all that's been happening and all that you've been doing, how are you?
Oh, very good, very good. You know, I love my job.
Well, let's speak a little bit about what has taken place since last week, Friday. The United National Congress is hosting budget forums leading up to the Minister of Finance Spotlight on the Economy this Friday and the budget presentation, a date of which we are anticipating. We can guess all we like, but we're not entirely sure as yet. We know that it is earlier than expected, but quite a large turnout at both events. I think one took place on Friday, the other on Saturday. Could you just give us a bit of an idea as to what is being expressed on the ground by those who would have attended in relation to not only what they'd like to see in the upcoming budget, but also what it has been like since we've reopened in terms of recovery?
All right. Yeah. Well, thanks a lot. It was actually done on the Thursday and the Saturday. Mm-hmm. Just a slight correction there. And we will be doing it Thursday and Saturday this week as well. So we opened on Thursday at Chaguanas. And we dealt mainly with people in the Cuba and Chaguanas area. And it was a packed, overflowing room. We were, very pleasantly surprised at the interest. Because, I mean, as we've been saying, and it was confirmed by the turnout, I mean, people are really hurting. People are really hurting out there. I mean, and I just heard your guest before. I mean, what I remember the representative from the national PTA, the NPTA, speaking at the Chaguanas the Shoguana's consultation, when she started to talk about, mothers and parents in general, buying school books, uniforms, and many of them, have lost their jobs or whatever business or whatever sort of personal services they may have been offering during the pandemic and not really have been able to build back up their savings, or they're selling their assets now, trying to just live from month to month. And they will not be sending children to school. She's saying that we are going to find many, many people not sending their children to school, or maybe having to choose among the children which ones they're going to send and which ones they're going to keep at home. This is just incredible. It is terrible, And the leader of opposition just, I think it was a month ago, could be more. I mean, she had put on the table that that a one-time back-to-school grant should be given out. I mean, these are the types of policies that the UNC are famous for, that we always do, that we always think about, and when we were in government, these are the things we would do, from baby grants to single mother grants, and all sorts of things to help lift people up. The laptop program, all these things that, for some reason, the PNM got their members to actually say, and get their supporters to say, that giving laptops to their children was a bad thing. I cannot wrap my head around that. But anyway, but we are, so there are things like that. That one really touched me a lot, actually, when I heard it there. But people were giving their stories about, whether it be OJTs, young people talking about, well, they could hardly get a job, and when they're fortunate enough to get an OJT, I think they're paid fortnightly or the middle of the month or something like that. And they say they have to, they're not getting paid sometimes, or they have to wait another 2 weeks, and they already are on the barest minimum of income, and how hard that is for them. Of course, there's all the road and infrastructure problems. Farmers talking about, predial larceny and the cost of everything going up, fertilizers and all that. And then when you tie in the lack of support given to the farmers, these things, when you hear the people's stories, all of a sudden all these policy things become real, and this is going to inform the leader of opposition, our MPs and our senators, when we give both our critique of whatever comes up and of the last year's expenditure, plus our plans for going forward.
Well, Dr. Mayhew, we understand the state of vulnerability here in Trinidad and Tobago, and certainly there is an understanding that that would have increased given the COVID-19 pandemic. And even coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, recovery, though numbers may look great, it does not necessarily translate to what's taking place on the ground. Is there an expectation of increased social expenditure? And even so, could the state afford to increase social expenditure in the upcoming budget?
Well, the excuse that the PNM keep having, that they have no money, they've spent more money than, they've spent roughly the same amount of money that the PP spent when we were in government. And well, now that they're in for an extra year or two, spending more. It's the levels of expenditure are roughly the same when you look at the budget amounts, right? It's what are they spending it on, and then they've got these billions of dollars and aid and support for COVID as well, which they have not accounted for, and the PNM keep giving this excuse that they have no money, but they're spending the same amounts of money. It's close to $400 billion they've spent in the 7 years. 400, sorry, I'm trying to think of the exact figure, but it's definitely over 350 billion. And this is the equivalent as to what the PP spent. But when the PP spent, it would spend on infrastructure, on schools, on social programs, and so forth. But we don't, we're not even getting accounts sent to the joint select committees for us to take a look at in terms of, let's say, Caribbean Airlines, for example. The last audited accounts was for 2015 when the PP were in government. None for the last 7 years have been done. And you can see this over and over again. So in terms of the excuse of no money, that just doesn't hold up. That doesn't hold up. It's their priorities. It's what they prioritize. And so we will be critiquing what their proposals are, and we will be giving suggestions. We don't know what it is, but people need, as you say, the social support. It needs to be increased. We need to bring back so many of the programs which were not only helping economically, they were helping socially, they were helping with the crime situation as well. There is no doubt that the increase in crime that we are seeing right now is related to the desperation and hopelessness that people have in this country as well. Because some of it is, let's say, function. I don't know if functional is a word, but because of poverty. But some of it is also just hopelessness and not a proper orientation for the future, and that life is worthless, and their life is worthless, so everybody's life is worthless. This type of hopelessness is a very dangerous place, especially when you combine it with the economic hardship.
Well, I think I understand where Dr. Mayhew is coming from, but we can't look at these things in isolation. Indeed, it's a global phenomenon. COVID-19 has disrupted the world. And if you now add all these Mother Nature issues, like what is happening in Pakistan presently, and China with the droughts, the whole northern regions, we see that things are never going to be the same, and we have to adjust. But Dr. Mayhew, I think for me, coming in and keeping in tandem with Keaton's theme of the 60th anniversary, my question to you is, what is the UNC's wish for Trinidad and Tobago for this 60th anniversary?
Well, for the 60th anniversary, I mean, we wish that the country would be put back on the path to growth, and that is not going to growth and national harmony and hope for the future. Right now, at the 60th independence anniversary, this country is without hope. People, and you see it on the ground, and when we're doing these consultations all over the country, we're going to Diego Martin, Port of Spain, San Juan Aventil this Thursday, and then we're going to Grande on Saturday. We keep seeing it and feeling it over and over again, and so we are resolved as the opposition that we must give this country hope again in the future, that we can be saved, that your future is not to look to migrate, that you don't think that Trinidad has gone through and there's no hope for this country anymore and it's time to leave. This is what so many people are thinking. They don't see a future for themselves in Trinidad and Tobago. That's a terrible place where we are at right now, and where we've been driven to by mismanagement, by corruption, by incompetence. And we have to turn the country around from that, because this is our country. This is a beautiful country. We have been blessed by God to live in this place. It is an incredible place we have, but it has not been managed correctly. And so that is where our responsibility comes in, and that's what we are pledged to do.
Well, Dr. Mayhew, I agree with quite a bit of what you said there for the 60th anniversary, but shifting away from the topic of budget consultations, more so to the general topic, you mentioned harmony. We want to achieve unity and harmony here in Trinidad and Tobago. And from both sides, you know, if we are to be very fair, we see many times conversations, there seems to be not only a disconnect with the people on the ground, but also between both parties. There seems to be a back and forth of politics.
Disharmony.
Yeah, disharmony. Politics that we just don't want. Politics that we just don't need. And so how is it, I mean, could Trinidad and Tobago really achieve harmony if our leaders between themselves cannot work together or see any sort of unity?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is unfortunately, it's the tone set by the PNM and government, to be quite frank. I mean, let's say the COVID-19 crisis, right? Let's just say that, right? That was, you know, a historic disaster, right? So what was the UNC's response? Well, first of all, we put it in the parliament on the very day the president signed I can't remember what they call it, a declaration, I think it was, of it being a public health emergency and so forth. That was in January 2020, and Dr. Tim Gopi Singh at the time put it to the parliament. We put it 5 times. They rejected it, they laughed at it, so forth. When they finally came around in March to say that, okay, well, this is something we should look at it, we offered ourselves. Of course, it was rejected out of hand, and in the crudest terms possible, as per usual with Keith Rowley. And we finally twisted his arm and got him to meet, you know, with our medical team, Dr. Lakram Bodo, Dr. Tim Gopi Singh. I can't remember if Dr. Rai was on that team. You know, to meet with their person, but, you know, very experienced senior people, you know, in the medical profession, who've been in charge of, you know, so much of the medical profession. You know, our Southwest Regional Health Authority, Northwest Regional Health Authority, etc. You know, and this was rejected. There's been this combative politics, and I totally agree with you. I believe I've said it on this program before. I honestly believe the 1990s were the most progressive time, and the best decade we've ever had in this country. And part of that was the way that the opposition and the government, both times, were able to work together when necessary. But every single time we have been offering any help, it's been rejected every single time, and not only rejected, but rejected in the crudest way.
We have just about a minute left, but again, a fair point. You know, you mentioned the 1990s. Yes, on the program you have before, but in answering my question about disharmony and the hope for unity and harmony amongst the public, you know, you went straight for the jugglers at the People's National Movement and the Keith Rowley administration. And I do understand that you are the PRO of a political party, but in that sense, isn't that exactly, basically concretizing my point about that disconnect?
Well, yeah, I mean, we are faced with that situation. It takes two to tango. And when one doesn't want, when one party does not wish to tango, and we are in a situation, I mean, the Westminster system, our democratic system, is one where the opposition, our role is oversight. And when we have a secretive, combative government that does not voluntarily like to disclose anything, even the basic things that they're supposed to do by law, it creates this situation where we are essentially forced to act in this way. We would rather not. Quite honestly, we would rather not. But in this situation, and so not only in that situation of let's say style, the country's in a desperate social and economic situation, and we are passionate about making this country better. And
Well, Dr.
unfortunately, it puts us in this combative role.
On that note, I want to thank you. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but thank you very much for your time once more on the program and your presence. I assure you that we will be in contact and welcoming you to the program once more as you continue your budget consultations and the response from the opposition, not only on the spotlight of the economy, but the budget presentation. But thank you very much, sir, and happy 60th.
Thank you, and happy 60th to you all as well, and to your viewers.
Thank you, sir. Well, folks, Dr. Kirk Neal, the Public Relations Officer of the United National Congress. Thank you, sir. Folks, we take a quick break here on the program, and when we return, well, we'll welcome another guest. Take care.
Celebrate and enjoy life in your fully electric and hybrid Mini. Happy Independence TNT from Lafarge Motors.
The best for your baby is at thebesttoys.com. From the best strollers, car seats, baby carriers, high chairs, booster seats, rockers, jumpers and bouncers, walkers, baby blankets, feeding accessories, bathtubs. Visit us in-store at Forces Flagship McLean. Shop online now at thebesttoys.com. Order via call or WhatsApp at 332-BABY. And remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
Enjoy your independence. The Retail Warehouse Christmas Village is open. This independence, get a massive 50% off selected items while stocks last.
Delivered nationwide. Kiss enriched bread.
Fill your day with love.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
When you need land, a home, or investment property, step-by-step property consultancy and management can help you. Happy Independence.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing on it.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is it no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go there and rep the right and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
Hazel?
Parents need to know what they're signing up the children for.
Mommy, Daddy, I just wanted to ask. God, is that you?
You want to do what?
Welcome back to Talking Point here on WESN. So alongside Mr. Darren Leasing and myself this morning, happy to have him back actually, is the acting ASP, the media ambassador of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, Ashraf Ali. Good morning, sir. Welcome back to Talking Point. You were missed.
Yes. Good morning. It's nice to be back again. Unfortunately, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is in a sad state right now with respect to the incident with our fellow officers.
Yes, outside the Brian Lara.
Yes, and I want to say special condolences to the family of Constable Edwards. I know it's a traumatic time right now, but we wish him all the best and hope that he recover. But that just brings us to some of the issues that we will discuss coming up shortly with respect to what public safety and security when it comes to this festive activities that we have for the independence and going forward for Carnival.
Certainly that accident, both sides very hard hit for all involved. But any details as to exactly what transpired that accident?
Nothing specific at this point in time. There was a video that was circulating that indicated that the other driver failed to stop and crashed directly into the vehicle, causing the officers in the vehicle to sustain serious injuries, and Constable Edwards lost his arm. Right, so he is fighting for his life right now at the San Fernando Hospital. He's in critical state.
Constable, very young police
Yes,
officer.
it is.
A young man, his service, his life, very young man. Our thoughts go out with the families and the officers who are fighting a very difficult battle, and we all hope that they prevail. But on that note, to get into the topic, our 60th day of independence, 60th year, of independence celebrations on Wednesday. There were a couple of tips that you were wanting to share with the public over safety. I mean, right now, safety is priority for almost everybody, but everybody also wants to have a good time in whatever way and celebrate quite a remarkable achievement.
Yes, and I agree. So just want to wish Trinidad and Tobago a happy 60th Diamond Jubilee anniversary. Let's make that a memorable one without any incidents or any incidents that would mar that celebration, right? Because it's the 60th Diamond Jubilee, and a lot of activities is planned for that, for the Independence Day, starting with the Independence Parade that will take place in the morning, and then we have a Toast to the Nation. Then you have several events taking place throughout the day, culminating in the extravagant fireworks at the Queen's Park Savannah, which we expect to have a large turnout of persons and heavy traffic at that point in time. So these are some of the things that we look forward to. The public is, after 2 years, fireworks has not been
can't say banned,
not banned, but because of the COVID, they didn't have fireworks. So the anticipation of this Diamond Jubilee and this extravagant firework display, a lot of persons is expected to be there. So with that in mind, we have the issue of motor vehicle theft, and that is high on our agenda because of the fact that a lot of persons will be parking their vehicles indiscriminately all about the area just to get vantage point. So from a public safety and security perspective, you need to know where you want to park your vehicle, how you secure your vehicle. If your vehicle falls in the category of the type of vehicles that we mentioned earlier, the Aquas and the Aquas, the Nissans, even some of those H100 vans and the Kias, those are some of the vehicles that people normally would steal for particular reasons. We implore you all to make sure the public to secure your vehicles. I mean, if you have to carpool to come into Port of Spain because there's a lot of traffic, right? You will have persons in and around the crowds. Your personal safety is important. Don't walk with a house of cash in your pocket to target yourself, to make yourself targets, right? So there's a lot of things that we have to look at from public safety and security perspective. Your personal safety is important. Now, traffic around the Queen's Park Savannah at night, and we anticipate that they will have a lot of children with them. So one of the things that we ensure, and we're trying to, we will have a lot of police officers there, but parents, make sure that you know where your children are, keep them close by, crossing the streets, not because we have independence fireworks that you can just run across the streets and right? Police officers will be there, they will be guiding you accordingly, abide by the law, and take as much caution as possible to enjoy the atmosphere, but your safety is important.
I think a very important point that you raised, and Mr. Leasing also, he emphasized upon, is not to make yourself a target. I mean, one might make the argument that that's stupidity because we want to have a good time, we want to go out, we want to wear our nice Jorial clothes, you know. It's just the criminals are getting away and the police service are not doing their jobs. But I think now more than ever, you really have to emphasize the fact that in this day and age, as much as everybody's trying to do their part and everybody has an opinion, making yourself a target is very much part of the equation.
Yeah, and we continue talking about hardening yourself, right? Your personal safety, understanding your surrounding, making yourself more difficult to be preyed upon. We have schools going to be opening just now. We have a lot of shopping, and the anticipation is that persons will be going into the shopping areas also with a lot of cash, right? They focus on buying the items, not understanding that what they have on them. Persons are also watching and keeping a close eye on how you behave and how you spend your money. Because even in stores, you have to be aware of who's around and taking out money and purchasing items. Right? We had the issue just recently in San Juan Police Station District, Northeastern Division, where officers actually went and did some sting operations, and they caught an individual who was on social media.
Yes, yeah.
Offering for sale items, and he would have robbed several of them during the course of the time. Police officers did some good job, and they caught the offender. Now, there is one out of many persons who would have been trapped and caught up in this social media interactions, and when you're going and buying items, you don't know who you're meeting on online, right? So there's a lot of things that there's a lot of information out there. The police service will keep on pushing information out, but I think it's incumbent on the individuals to look at what is there, look at the tips, and see whether or not you are doing as much as possible to protect yourself.
Now, I think you mentioned this before on this said platform about if you're doing your shopping via social media online and you have to meet an individual, meet near a police station or even meet in the car park of a police station. I think you've mentioned that before. But what you just said about, you know, even though we've elaborated on making yourself a target, you know, when you mention, you know, you even have to be careful when you're shopping in a mall, in a store, you know, because people might be watching you. Yes, making yourself a target is one thing, but isn't there also that living in fear?
I would not say it's living in fear. We don't have an understanding of what personal safety is about. Because of our culture, we feel that we can go ahead and just do what we feel. You know, I mean, it's your personal safety. Now, just over the weekend, I would have gone to one of them persons purchasing items out there, and I'm observing what is taking place. The person is, in fact, collecting cash, placing all the $100 bills in the hole, and just continue moving as normal. I came up to afterwards I came up to them and said, listen, you need to take care of what you're doing there. See, when you collect a lot of cash, remove it from and secure it properly. They are not self-aware about that because it's something that they have been doing over and over. The same way as a law enforcement officer observing the risk associated with that, I brought it to the attention of the individuals because that's a crime I'm trying to prevent. There are persons who are also watching who have criminal intent, that they will be watching this individual and these individuals over a period of time and looking for that opportunity that presents itself. So you have to understand that you have to make yourself a hard target by doing all that is necessary to protect yourself. Yes, the criminals are doing everything necessary to counter that. So that is why criminals, that is what criminals have to do. Counter all your safety measures to get in, to do the criminal act, opportunities. And we will have a lot of opportunities coming up for independence because we'll have a large number of persons on the streets trying to enjoy, trying to have a good time and enjoying themselves. But there are persons who are there not for enjoyment, but for the opportunity to commit a criminal offense.
Also, the TTPS is very much well staffed and well equipped for what you all are expecting on Wednesday, I'm assuming, because I know you mentioned bringing out special reserve police officers before. That may be the case this time. But as much as there may be a huge concentration in the capital of Port of Spain and then in the city of San Fernando for fireworks displays and celebrations, I think in a room as well there's going to be one. Does that mean that other parts of TNT will remain vulnerable due to, I don't want to say a depleted police service, but because there may be a higher concentration of officers in those areas because of what you all are expecting?
Yeah, and yes, it is expected, but the resources that have been pulled to send to these areas are not from the specific divisions. They are outside from the branches and sections that don't interact in those divisions, so they'll be augmented with additional manpower for those type of activities on that specific day. So Port of Spain Division will have a high number of officers throughout the day and into the night to ensure that we have a very enjoyable and quiet incident-free day.
So let me turn now to, speaking about police officers, there's been an increase in criminals posing as police officers. Wherever they're getting the uniforms from, the tactical gear from, can't get into that right now. But how is it that an ordinary citizen can you know, we heard of that incident in Digicel with the businessman was stopped, flagged down by police officers. They were all in tactical gear. And he realized something was wrong. He actually flagged down a passing marked police vehicle. How can citizens now be aware as to who is posing as a police officer and who's actually a police officer?
Well, that has always been a challenge, and it's not something new. We always had criminal elements looking for some opportunities, and it's not in Trinidad and Tobago. Throughout the world, criminals look to portray the images of police officers to carry out their acts. The issue here is what the Commissioner of Police is now, we are trying to reinforce and get back into the play, is that police officers on the beats and working, they are working with what is called the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the authorized Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, authorized uniform, which is the blue and gray uniform that you would see an officer would, some officers will have. These other units, there are several other units that were authorized to wear tactical units, which is the tactical, which is the what we call BDU battle dress uniform, the blue ones. But the challenge is that you can buy that at any of the tactical stores that supply security equipment. You can go to anywhere and purchase a police sign, police emblem. You can go online, download the police logo, go to a printer, and print the Trinidad and Tobago police logo onto a jersey, onto a shirt, and portray the image of a police officer.
But wouldn't it be the same then, even with the standard grey uniform and the standard blue uniform?
No, the grey uniform might be much more difficult because you might the supplier will be would have one supplier for those type of shirts, and you would not be able to get that at any right, is only Trinidad and Tobago Police Service will come in. So that is one of the things that we are trying to get back in or reinforce, because we have standing orders in terms of our patrol orders. Right? Patrol order number 3 is our blue and gray that the officers are supposed to be wearing on. Right?
Well, Acting ASP, I think we're going to have to pause there because right now, folks, we have to go to WSN's News on the Hour. But when we return, the Acting ASP stays with us. Mr. Leasing stays with us. I'll be with you. The phone lines will be open, and the conversation, well, it goes on for the next half an hour. Stay tuned to Talking Point.
It's your WESN News on the Hour. I am Marquis Sekas. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Protest on highway leads to traffic pile-up. Jamaican Prime Minister lands in Trinidad. Key stakeholders take stage at second UNC 2023 budget consultation. Pan Trinbago President says Pan in good hands. And internationally, 6 die in lorry crash in Netherlands. Now for the details. A protest expected to be by the scrap iron dealers hampered traffic flowing north this morning. Large loads of gravel and lit tires were strewn across the highway in Claxon Bay area. The traffic was backed up as far as the Gasparilla flyover. Since government made the announcement several weeks ago that there would be a ban on the importation of scrap metals for 6 months, the scrap iron members staged several fiery protests calling for the ban to be lifted. Last night, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley welcomed Prime Minister of Jamaica Andrew Holness to Trinidad and Tobago. Prime Minister Holness is here for an official visit and is expected to take part in a number of events planned in observance of our nation's 60th independence anniversary. On Saturday, 27th August, Tableland High School saw key stakeholders from business and civil society take center stage at the United National Congress's second pre-budget consultation. Like the launch in Chaguanas on Thursday, this public meeting was packed with persons wishing to contribute to their communities. They spoke of the PNM government's inefficient allocation of funds leading to frequent landslips, insufficient municipal police, inadequate attention being paid to crumbling rural development and transport, too few subsidies for hurting but crucial farmers, lack of vehicles for the Prida-Lasny squad, broken promises of hiring 100 municipal police officers per region, lack of IT facilities for students and young people, and more. Pan Trinbago President Beverly Ramsey Moore is assuring that Pan is in good hands with the current leadership of Pan Trinbago.
After 33 years, for the very first time, we have a clean audit under my management. And where for the very first time, we have put in place a finance committee. And where for the very first time, we can boast that there is accountability and there is transparency.
In international news, the death toll from an accident when a truck drove off a dike and slammed into a community barbecue in a village south of Rotterdam has risen to 6, and police say a further 7 people are in hospital, including 1 in critical condition. 3 men and 3 women were killed, ranging from the age from 28 to 75, police said. A police spokeswoman said the truck driver, a 46-year-old Spanish man, is suspected of causing the accident that happened earlier Saturday evening in the village of New Bigeland. His identity was not released in the line with Dutch privacy laws. Well, that's News to the Hour on WESN. I am Marquis Sekas. Thanks for watching.
Easy.
So?
Parents need to know what they're signing up the children for.
Mommy, Daddy, I just wanted to ask. God, is that you?
You want to do what?
Well, thank you very much to Marquis Akers for news on the hour this morning. And still with us is the acting ASP and Mr. Darren Leasing. Mr. Leasing, you were quite observant during that interview.
And I will stay in an observant mode, but keeping in the vein of voluntarism. I would say that in listening to two of you earlier, my one observation is the blood bank. Those ladies are good friends of mine. I've been donating blood since I was able to. It's a process that was given to me from my mother in terms of understanding your duty in that vein, literally. And I would say my whole observation coming out of it is that every time I go to the bank now, and it's a very nice facility done over here in Port of Spain by the hospital, the reality is it's never full. People aren't lining up in their droves unless it's for some family member to give blood. I mean, I think I probably have 5 or 6 credits in the bank because I go like clockwork on a 3-month process. But I don't see, and I've asked them, I don't see people coming in to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And so the next element of our 60th anniversary is my plea on behalf of the ladies at the blood bank, that you citizens come out and volunteer your blood to raise the bank to the levels that it ought to be.
Certainly. Well, acting SB, I know that you also second that call.
Yes. I agree because in situations like this with our colleague within the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, there will be the call that if he requires a level of blood, we will have officers who are stepping up. But generally, Trinidad and Tobago needs to step up when it comes to donating blood voluntarily. I don't think that a lot of persons are aware of the benefits of it, or they are skeptical about giving blood. I don't know. I gave blood on several occasions already. It's not a difficult process. You don't feel anything anyhow when you're giving blood, and it's good for you, right? So I agree, Mr. Leasing. Trinidad and Tobago persons who can give blood should in fact volunteer the blood, because at some point in time you may not know if even one of your family members might be in a situation that they need blood in an emergency state, and you at that point in time haven't been volunteering to give blood. At some point in time you may not be able to give because you may have already given within 3 months and you can't anymore. Mm-hmm. So then you have to depend on somebody else. These are all the things that we have to look at. It's not about you alone. It's generally across the board.
But there's so many people disqualified. The people with the tattoos, the people who have low blood count. Many women can't give. And so it is a personal choice to understand what are your responsibilities to do so. I've seen, that's the other vein, I see so many come and they can't give because they didn't even follow the basics of knowing that you have to have a meal before you come to give blood.
Yeah, it's...
So the threshold is not there and the understanding is not there. And so, Keaton, I think we have an assignment to do for and on behalf of the ladies at the blood bank. And we'll do so in my next donation.
Well, folks, please join us on Talking Point now. The phone lines are open this morning, and the acting ASP is here to take your questions. Mr. Leasing is also here to take your questions. Yes, he is in the hot seat. He wasn't expecting that, but I am putting him in that position. I'm also here to take your questions, but also share with us your thoughts and opinions. We spoke on many things this morning, but I think the general topic, what you can say, is certainly patriotism and your role, your part in building a better Trinidad and Tobago as we celebrate 60 years as an independent nation. So, what are your thoughts? What do you think needs to be done? What more can be done? What is your wish for Trinidad and Tobago for its 60th anniversary of independence? And more so, give us your experiences over the years of what you would have witnessed of Trinidad and Tobago's development. So, the phone numbers are on your screen. Call in and join us now on the program as the phone lines are open. Gentlemen, patriotism. I mean, we have a police officer here. We have can I say the word, don't get upset, veteran media, somebody who's been involved from all aspects of a media house.
Keaton, what we do here is patriotism. What every person who sits behind these desks and comes and broadcasts to the wider public in positive light, in educational light, in entertaining light, in inspirational light, is patriotism in of itself. I wouldn't dare say I would want to try to be an officer or go into the academy, because I don't think I was built that way. And so we all have to do our parts.
Well, we have a caller on the line with us from Diego Martin. Good morning, caller.
Morning,
Good morning.
Good morning, Sean Michael. Keaton, I just wish to endorse Mr. Lee Singh's sentiments. And yes, congratulations to all at First Trinidad Sea Scouts. That's our alma mater. By the way, St. Mary's is probably the only school with 2 troops, 1st and 6th. So there was always competition there. And thanks to the leaders, pretty amazing people who were dedicated to the development of youth. Because I saw ordinary kids who joined just for show. They were left as responsible, phenomenal young men. Yes. Badges or not, though. And Mr. Lee Singh, here's also why volunteerism, as you said, is important, because extracurricular activities are critical to growth, whether it's art, drama, debating, scouts, young leaders, needlework, as in the mentioned primary school. And parents should never think they cannot help, because on a personal level, there's a sense of fulfillment. But more than that, the joys of the child and the rewards of being better people in a better world, that is just priceless. And one more thing, Keaton.
Sure.
Donating blood, that is also a wonderful thing. It's very simple. I've been doing that since school, and now our children in the family do that. People who have thalassemia and other things, they need blood. So yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.
Certainly. Thank you very much, caller. We have another caller on the line with us this morning, a caller from Arima. Good morning.
Keaton, good morning to you and your host.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Independence. Now, I following the program, and I saw our good friend Dr. May, who said that he believes that the people are without hope. I disagree. Now, I want to start by saying, Rashwati I sang Money is No Problem in 1975. We in 2022. Check the lyrics of the song and look at what happened today.
Yes.
And we will see how far we have come, which is really not far at all. Now, for us to get hope, we need a cultural change.
Yeah, interesting.
The behavior of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago has to change. And I will tell you where it has to change. One, the environment. Too much plastic everywhere you go. The place dirty.
Yes.
Children learn in school to keep a clean scene.
Charlie, we learned the Charlie program.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when they come out of school, what has happened? They don't practice what they learn in school.
No. Yeah.
They learn if you find a wallet, you carry it to the office. You drop it on the ground, then. See what will happen to you.
Not getting it back at all.
Second thing, in terms of behavior, the attitude to work and the willingness to work. We have to be able to give a full day's pay for a full day's work for a full day's pay.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Thirdly, within the behavior, our priorities had to change. We got to learn to live within our means.
Yes.
We got to demand good governance. Because when you leave Chaguanas, right, and you're going south, and you're watching all this space under grass and not under agricultural production, and then we have to go to our next country for them to plant food for us, and we currently have 77,000 acres of land, currently 1975. We must find out how much of that under production.
Caller, you know, I honestly hate to have to cut you because we have other callers on the line, but you've made some excellent points this morning, and I only hope to hear from you tomorrow to expand on those points, because I agree with absolutely everything that you said. Yes,
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. We have leaders here, and we could always blame the politics and the political atmosphere and this and that, but very good point in terms of people having to change. They major role as well. Caller on the line with us from Mayaro. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, Keaton.
Good morning.
I just want to say to you that you look very sharp this morning with that nice haircut.
Thank you.
The panel, good morning to you as well, and your uplink, Mr. Keaton. Mr. Keaton, I just want to throw something at you.
Sure.
What that person in the UNC vision was explaining to the public there, I'm confused. Mr. Keaton, that is not your standard, and the representation that you're looking for, you did not get it this morning. We need a mission and a vision. I'm an agriculture man, born and grow by generation to generation. And we have no sense of direction. Keaton, screenline your people, and if they call them a fool, let them understand there is a fool, because you have ideas, you have understanding, you have experience, and you're willing to listen. Let me move forward with this program properly, please. Thank you.
I hear you, caller. Thank you very much for your contribution. I think you've raised a point, because as much as we do have people on this program who speak, and their voices are important, because at the end of it all, they do represent a part of Trinidad and Tobago's, I suppose, leading and leadership structure. But you're right. As much as they talk, your voice may not be represented. You know, you're a farmer in Mayaro. Do you feel as though you're represented? Do you feel as though what the people in power are stating, and even the people who are not in power but still play a major leadership role, do you feel as though they are representing your voice and what you're stating? No, it's not like that at all. So, caller, I hear you. I mean, I can't just say that we're going to just completely cut contacts and ties with individuals such as Dr. Mayhew, because he's always willing. You know, I've put him in a position many a times that he's always willing, but I do understand the point that you've made. We have a call on the line with us from Gasparillo. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
My question is to the police officer. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, caller.
Superintendent Ali, normally when I come into contact with roadblocks, there are more than one police officers, more cars, there's a line up. If by chance there's a one or two police officers, is it safe for me to, and they stop me, is it safe for me to stop or drive to the nearest police station? I listen off here.
Caller, before you go, or has the caller already gone? All right, I think I'm assuming here that the caller is asking in relation to the criminals posing as police officers.
Well, Keaton, I want to give the public the reassurance at this point in time. We have put all our measures in place for independence to ensure that legitimate police officers are on the streets for independence. But with that said, we have to make sure that if you're still not comfortable, right, abide by the instructions given, because, and you would know after a while the type of instructions you get, right? Independence officers are dressed in a particular way. Patrol order number 1, because it's white tunic. The likelihood of these individuals having white tunics, it's very low, right? We have special arrangements for police officers in their vehicles, clearly identifiable with stickers that indicates independence, the 60th anniversary independence, for security arrangements where you might see a tinted vehicle driving around the area, or those vehicles will have a badge on it marked 60th independence. Those are police officers, but they would be driving around the area looking at persons doing nefarious activities. So you would see those type of things also, but they are legitimate police officers. And if anybody still has concerns with whether or not those persons who want to enter the city of Port of Spain are not police officers, you are free to communicate with our command center and indicate to the nearest police station that you're of the opinion that that's not a police officer. But I'm still reassuring the public that we have put everything in place to ensure that that does not happen for independence, the 60th anniversary.
Thank you very much, Acting ASP. We have a caller on the line with us from Digger Martin. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
And happy independence to you all, and by extension, Trinidad and Tobago, and to my friend Sean Swall. So I just want to make a quick observation, is that I wish and hope that everyone, whenever they are making decisions in this country, think of country and try to uplift the country instead of bringing down the country. Our leaders, I ask of you all to try and be a little more careful in the way you do things and say and disrespect each other. It's not a good sign for leadership in the country.
Yeah.
And I hope that people can come to these conclusions because it will help build the country. You must think of a country first and not party politics. That is the only way this country is going to uplift. And people have to come back to mannerism. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, and have these attributes about you. But you cannot live in you're living. Thank you, and thank you for taking my call.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, that's an important point. It seems as though that is that level of manners and respect was a generational thing. I mean, very, very few young people today, even I say, even of the older generation, they do not practice that level of courtesy, that level of respect, or that level of mannerism.
No, but it goes on the opposite side. Do we accept it? Because do we return it? Is it difficult to say good morning? How hard is it to return a good morning? If I tell you good morning 10 times a day and after sometimes you don't even say good morning, even in your working environment, when you come to work, you don't say good morning. You get up in the morning, you don't say good morning. Hey, mommy, daddy, good morning. You don't do that. You pick up your phone and the first thing you go on your phone and you just go on social media. You don't even have a conversation anymore. In school, when we're talking about when the caller called from a reminder talking about our responsibility. I remember when I was going to school, part of our activity in school is take up our garbage bag and pick up the garbage around the school. That is part of the school's activity. And cleaning up the space in the school. You could not have said to your teachers at that point in time, sir or miss, I'm not going to pick up garbage, because you know why? You and your classmates, that was a bonding activity because you are going to pick up garbage. You feel good about it because you clean up your space.
And a good point, because now there may be that thought by the public, by teachers, that they can't even tell a student to listen, you have to do this.
Yeah. So the public comes out and even the police officers, you don't say good morning, officer. Sometimes you hear officers that not even telling the public good morning. So we have to understand it's good both ways. Good morning doesn't take away anything from you. It just adds to your life. Yeah, good morning.
Darren, based on what the acting ASP said, I mean, his parents taught him one thing growing up. Your parents taught you. My parents taught you. Is it that I don't know. It's a bit confusing. Is it that parents are no longer instilling these values? Is it that the school system the younger new teachers aren't caring to do that, or is it that students are not receptive, or is it all of these factors that equal to what we are seeing now, what we're experiencing now?
It's all. And you're seeing, we started the conversation with volunteerism. It's a breakdown in family. It's a breakdown where parents are now saying they're too busy for everything. Mm-hmm. You have younger grandparents who are still living their lives and fetting. So, I mean, I grew up where all my cousins would come together in our grandparents' home for all the vacations, and that was like the best times ever. But you still had those value constructs that you could not get away from.
Mm-hmm. Well, folks, we have to take a quick break here on Talking Point. But when we return, well, we'll wrap things up for this morning's edition of the program. We'll be right back after this.
Happy Independence from Motor Care and Maintenance MCM Limited for all your vehicle repairs, diesel and gas. Approved vehicle inspection station. Celebrate and enjoy life in your fully electric and hybrid Mini. Happy Independence TNT from LaFast Motors. Independence greetings from J&A Supermarket and Deli on the Avenue for your grocery items, market items, grab-and-go meals, plus mobile phones and accessories. When you need land, a home, or investment property, step-by-step property consultancy and management can help you. Happy Independence. Enjoy your independence. The Retail Warehouse Christmas Village is open. This Independence, get a massive 50% off selected items while stocks last.
You can become a highly trained emergency response professional that can operate in the health, corporate, industrial, and educational sectors. Tech EMS courses include EMT, AEMT, paramedic, BLS, ACLS, PALS, First Aid, CPR, AED, and other courses.
Happy Independence from Tech EMS Training Academy.
With just about 3 minutes left, I must say I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation off air that we just had, with that level of teaching, that level of education. There seems to be no care anymore, to a certain extent, within the education system. And by the way, the education system also begins at home. So, gentlemen, you know, I really enjoyed the conversation, but that's basically all the time we have this morning on Talking Point.
Keaton, I leave you with a parting question. Have we become a secular society? As plural as we are, is that the reason the values construct is out the door?
Well, Darren, I think you're going to have to come back on Talking Point for us to debate that. So, you know, you're always welcome here. And acting ASP, well, thank you very much for your presence, and we look forward to next week. But, you know, to the officers who were involved in that accident, again, our thoughts go to them and their families as they really fight for their life. But also to all TTPS officers, and to you, sir, a very happy 60th independence to everybody.
And same to you and all to the listeners of WESN and Trinidad and Tobago. Happy Independence, 6-year Diamond Jubilee. Let's enjoy the festive activities. Be safe out there, take care, look after each other. And after 60 years of independence, we have to go forward.
Certainly. Let's not wait another 60 years. Let's not wait another 15 years, folks. A lot to get done. We could do it. What's that song? We can make it if we try. You know?
Just a little harder.
Just a little harder. Thank you very much to all our callers and to our guest, Dr. Kirk Mayhew, this morning. Folks, Mr. Sean Michael Small, I promise you, he wanted to come on the program this morning. He's really eager to get back, but he is still not 100%. So he's fighting the fight. And we're hoping that he can join us later on in the week. But Sean, again, we're keeping that seat warm for you, sir. Anyway, I'm Keaton Shaw. This has been Talking Point on WESN, your content capital. Folks, have a great day ahead. Remember, as ironic as it may seem, today is a good day to have a good day. We'll see you again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.
WESN.